You know, the fair tax is a tax bill, but at its heart, it's a freedom bill. You know, what the fair tax is, Mr. Speaker, if you hadn't looked at it recently, it's a fundamental change in the way we tax America. Today, we tax income, and of course, the power to tax is the power to destroy. The power to tax, the power to destroy. I ask young people when I go to schools to speak, I say, who wants to come to work for me? I'm going to work you hard, and I'm going to work you long, but I'm going to get you $10 an hour. $10 an hour. I get a couple of hands that go up. Apparently, $10 an hour is not as much today as it was back in my day. I'd have jumped at $10 an hour, but I get hands that go up for $10 an hour. Then I say, but I'm going to have to tax you $9 of that, so you're only going to be able to take home $1. Now who wants to come work long hours for me? All the hands go down. The power to tax productivity is the power to destroy productivity. The power to tax income is the power to destroy income. Why? Why do we want to destroy that makes this country great? So the fair tax shifts that paradigm. Instead of taxing what people produce, we want to tax what people consume, a consumption tax. You've all seen it. It's in your sales tax back home on what you consume, and we could do it. We could do it. I'll tell you, the fair tax is a jobs program, because when we stop taxing productivity, we get more of it. That creates jobs. I'll tell you, the fair tax is about transparency. You know, Mr. Speaker, the payroll tax, that 15.3 cents out of every dollar that comes out of your paycheck, Mr. Speaker, that FICA line that you see, now 7.65% comes from the employee. The other 7.65 is hidden as an employer tax, but it's a 15.3% payroll tax. Did you know, Mr. Speaker, that 80% of American families pay more in the payroll tax than they do in the income tax? 80% of American families pay more in the payroll tax than they do in the income tax. Now, I just got back from Thanksgiving. I've got doctors in my family. I've got teachers in my family. I've got all sorts of folks, so I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, I got an earful throughout the entire Thanksgiving dinner. It was more of a 3-day festival for me, Thanksgiving, different sides of the family coming into town, and I got lots of good advice about how we should do things differently up here. But you know, not one person mentioned the payroll tax. Oh, the income tax was a hot topic. But nobody mentioned the payroll tax, and it's the biggest tax that 80% of Americans pay. Why? Because the payroll tax is hidden in every single paycheck that you get. You don't feel it. The government gets its share first. You get your share second. You don't feel it go away unless, Mr. Speaker, you're one of the self-employed folks in America. And instead of paying the 15.3% payroll tax, you pay the equivalent 15.3% self-employment tax. And then you feel the bite of that tax each and every day. You know that's the biggest tax that you pay. The fair tax, instead of allowing all of those taxes to be hidden in business taxes, hidden in income taxes, hidden in payroll taxes, separated out so you don't feel the pain, the fair tax takes your entire federal tax burden and sticks it into one rate, a sales tax on everything that you buy. One rate. Now, that rate would have to be 23%. That's a big number. 23% is what the sales tax rate, the payroll tax, the fair tax rate would need to be in order to replace federal income taxes on businesses, on individuals, federal payroll taxes on businesses, on individuals, the gift tax, the death tax, the capital gains tax, the dividend tax, all of those federal taxes on income. The fair tax could replace them all with a 23% personal consumption tax there at the cash register. And you'd see it, Mr. Speaker. Can you imagine? Today I can just raise an excise tax here, raise 0.25% on an income tax there. I can do lots of funny math, as they like to do in Washington, D.C. Because folks can't feel the pain. They always think, oh, it's not going to tax me. It's going to tax somebody else. Yes, I vote yes because it's going to tax him instead of me. The fair tax puts us all in the same boat and lets us see how much the United States government costs us. You know, I'm a cost-conscious shopper, Mr. Speaker. I brought a marker down here with me today just in case I had to write any big red marks on my chart. This was free with rebate at Office Max last week. I don't know if anybody else got it. Free with rebate for this marker. Dollars and cents matter. We make different decisions in our personal purchasing life when we experience those costs. Transparency lets you know how much your government is costing you. Does everybody want a free marker? Yes. Does everybody want to pay the $6.95 it would have been if it wasn't free with rebate? I think not. Puts the entire cost of government out where you can see it. And most importantly, the fair tax is about individual freedom. Folks, have you thought about how the tax code manipulates your life? It doesn't matter whether you sit on the far right over here with the Republicans or you sit on the far left over there with Democrats. Sometimes something happens when you show up in Washington, D.C., and you do. You believe you're the smartest person in the room. Everybody tells you how wonderful you are. You think your ideas are so great. And you decide, you know what? I should reward people for doing this behavior, and I should punish them from doing that behavior. And if I do it, they'll be happier, and America will be better. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put a tax on gasoline because I don't want people driving to work. That's bad. And then I'm going to put a tax credit on electric vehicles, right? Because that's green. We were talking about green earlier, Mr. Speaker. So I'm going to put a tax credit on electric vehicles. So I'm going to punish those people who buy oil at the community gas station, and I'm going to reward those people who go out and buy these $60,000, $70,000, and $80,000 electric vehicles. Well, I don't actually think. But we have the power to do that. We can manipulate your behavior every day of the week by changing how the tax code touches your pocketbook. You know, I was talking about that electric vehicle tax credit. That wasn't just an example. That wasn't just something I made up. Do you remember when the president passed, this president passed his energy bill? It included in it a tax credit, $6,500, for everyone who would go out and buy an electric vehicle. Well, again, the Volt was not on the market at the time in the 40s, and the only electric vehicles out there were in the $80,000, $90,000 range. But Americans are industrious, which is why if you leave America to Americans, we're going to be just fine. But Americans are industrious, and what they just found out was if they put brake lights on their golf cart, side view mirrors, some good seat belts up front, some headlights, and windshield wipers, that the Department of Transportation would certify that golf cart as a road-ready vehicle, and they could get the $6,500 tax credit. Oh. Now, it turns out you can't buy an American-made golf cart for $6,500. Our golf carts are a little more expensive than that. But our friends in China, not only are they willing to share their oil with us, guess what? They're willing to share their golf carts with us, too. So it turned out, at the end of tax year 2009, Americans were literally standing in line for a VIN number for a Chinese golf cart so that they could claim this tax credit. Free golf carts for all. Did anybody get one, Mr. Speaker? Did you get that free golf cart? Don't tell me if you did. I know some folks who did. I'm not proud of it, but I know some folks who did. Free golf carts for all from the United States tax code. Folks, when we bring all that power and all that authority here, it gives us the power to manipulate your life, and we don't always manipulate it for the powers of good. And I would tell you, even when we are trying to manipulate it for the powers of good, as the president was trying to manipulate it for the powers of good in his energy bill, we run afoul. We run afoul. Why do we need to pay people to engage in behavior? We make those decisions each and every day. The fair tax abolishes the income tax code so that no longer can people who think they're the smartest person in the room in Washington tell you how to live your life.